welcome back to the greatest city in the world, Wrestling City. As always, I'm Ryler, and today we are going to be reacting to a video from The Great One, and it is titled The Biggest WWE Upgrades Ever. So I didn't see much about this video beforehand, so I don't know exactly what it's going to include, but I'm imagining from this beginning image it is going to have new championship updates, maybe finisher updates. I could also imagine logo updates being included on there. But The Great One, I've been subscribed to him for a long time, shout out to him. So this should be a pretty good video, you know, a banger as always, so let's get it started.
We always remember the good old days of WWE when the music was iconic, the championships looked beautiful, and the gimmicks had real depth. Yeah, that's what we say, but was it always true? While wrestling has had its fair share of downgrades, you'd be surprised by how much has actually improved. I asked you for the best WWE upgrades of all time, and I was honestly shocked by the response. 18,000 likes, 340 responses. It's like Hollywood is calling me. So today we'll take a look at the biggest WWE upgrades in history. Not all of them because it's impossible. I'm too viral. Kane's evolution in WWE. I think this is literally the biggest upgrade ever when it comes to wrestlers' gimmick. But like, we also gotta remember, after this, we got more. Like, we did get more.
It's so crazy when you look back at this, like Kane and Undertaker, some gimmicks when you think of it, like when you look at it on paper, you would not think that Kane's gimmick would work as long as it did. He went through so many different iterations and, you know, morphed into what he is now or what his legacy will be. But starting out, he was just supposed to be this short-term, like 6-7 month gimmick. At least that's what Bruce Pritchard has said in the past. So seeing how he's evolved from Isaac Yankem of all people, that's pretty crazy.
Will never forgive WWE for bringing back Masked Kane, but like this, right? Like, this is one of the most iconic looking wrestlers ever. WrestleMania going from being one night to being two nights. I totally agree. It used to be a pain in the ass. I'm like, I want more matches. I want to have WrestleMania for longer. I want to get that experience. But by the time you get that main event, God forbid it's Triple H versus Roman Reigns, you just want to sleep, especially in my case. It's 6 a.m. I should be sleeping, and this ain't helping people. As a matter of fact, I do have some sleep problems. I think I just found my fix.
Of course. If I'm not mistaken, they used to be like 5 or so hours or 6. I remember WrestleMania 35 being super duper long. And by the time it was the main event, the crowd was done, because when you go through that much wrestling in one day, it becomes too much. People don't care anymore. So I'm so glad they went to 2 nights. I think that was a fantastic decision. Definitely belongs on this list.
Theory posted by Justin. I actually like his videos. Even though I was watching wrestling at the time, I was too young to watch it religiously. Wasn't he the first though in the WWE that had green mist? Imagine swallowing that, by the way. Like, it burns your face, right? Imagine swallowing that. I have a hot ass after spicy food. Is real, easy, LMAO. Okay, so I get what AEW tried to do right here. It's all about the tradition. But at a certain point, you gotta realize not everything was better back in the day. Not the biggest upgrade, but the tinge of blue changed so much in the Intercontinental Championship.
I knew this was going to be on this list. That blue to the title, I don't remember when they added it. I don't know if it was with Jey Uso or Braun Breaker, but that addition to it changes it so much. It looks so bland and just like ugly with the just a flat out black like the one Shinsuke had. But this makes it look like the retro one, and it makes it chef's kiss. It is so much better now.
Championship, I agree. Went from being one of my least favorite championships in the WWE to one of my favorites. It's all this championship really needed to look like the previous versions of the title. So good, so good. For me personally, it's the upgrade of the new logo. It's like how simple and more gritty it is. Well, I wouldn't say it's more simple, it's more gritty, and that's what I really appreciate. This is my least favorite era of the logos. This at least looks unique again, in some shape or form, right? Maybe it says SmackDown, but SmackDown we will. Okay. A bit of a newer one with LA Knight. What even was Max Dupree? Vince McMahon's fetish, Vince McMahon's wet dream.
Vince McMahon with Max Dupree, he was just so stubborn. And as soon as Triple H took over, they moved him right back to LA Knight, because it was stupid. I mean, I could see maybe that there was a certain vision to it in the long term, possibly, but Vince, man, ugh, bad times, bad times.
He had a wet dream once and said, yes, Max Dupree is what we're gonna call him.
Exactly.
It's an absolute upgrade, absolutely, right?
Uh-huh.
For what it's worth, though, he did make it
Game
work.
changer.
I can see Vince McMahon's vision, I just don't agree with it, you know? The United States Championship, and it got a lot of likes.
I don't
Might like
agree.
it myself. It's a hot take for whatever reason, but I feel like the new United States Championship title is the most beautiful US title we ever had, which is a total of 3. It's one of the most beautiful mid-card titles I've ever seen, so much better. It looks so much less like a toy. Beautiful. Anyone remember how shitty the old NXT title was? The new ones are a definite upgrade, but I still kind of prefer the one Adam Cole.
Man, that was when I started watching NXT, so I missed that belt. But I understand from a objective standpoint, the belt on the left is pretty ugly. But it looked great on some people. It looked great on Big E. Neville looked great with the title. Bo Dallas looked pretty good with the title. So it fits certain people, but I could see it not working now. Like, that would have looked so ugly on somebody like Adam Cole.
Held. Honestly, my favorite NXT championship is this one. I remember people saying, I miss the old NXT title, the one that looked like this American Got Talent shit. It's bad.
That's
fair. Y'all have the audacity to shit on the WWE CW title, and then you compliment this.
Nah.
We can't have a normal civil
ECW
conversation,
title's
people, at this
ugly,
point.
man.
Honestly, it's a controversial take, but I think the modern World Heavyweight Championship design is an upgrade. The Big Gold is legendary and objectively a better design, but to me, when I see that belt, I think WCW. The modern one feels more like a WWE championship. But call me crazy, but it's because it has a giant WWE logo on it. Maybe that. In all seriousness, I can't agree or disagree really. Obviously, I prefer this bad boy. If I could have a romantic relationship with a championship, I'd pick that one. That's all I'm gonna say. Never did anything, and don't you dare accuse me of such things. Yeah, it looks a bit more modern, it fits in the WWE a bit more. Maybe it is nostalgia, but I will always have a special place in my heart for the big old champion.
I think that's hard to judge because as I also grew up starting watching WWE when this was the main belt, the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold, the classic. But the newer belt, I wouldn't say it's better or worse. I would just say it's a fair, accurate, and nice modern day reimagining of the belt. You know, they have the logo in the middle, like he said, and I get why people may not like that, but I mean, they're going to put their logo on their own belt, so I don't have an issue with that personally. And I think it looks beautiful. I think it looked amazing on Rollins. But to say it's better than the Big Gold, I don't know about that, man. They're both good in their own ways.
With that being said, this is my favorite wrestling championship right now. The only problem is it lacks prestige, but that's not the design problem. WWE going HD. Absolutely, but what I've also realized is that it's so weird. You can watch footage from 2009 and then like 2004. It looks so different. Like you can tell so much time has passed, but you can look at footage from 2025 and then from 2008 and there's barely any difference. There's no difference at all. I always found that fascinating because up until 2008, everything looked so different. Footage from 1999, from 80s, 2000s, but we're at a point right now where it barely gets any better, which is great.
I guess barely gets any better is fair, but there has been those ones like where they come down to the ring and it has that like ultra, I don't know what it is, 4K, Ultra HD, whatever it is, where it focuses on them coming down to the ring. Those camera angles look beautiful. So there are upgrades. I don't know if I would agree there's been like barely any, but yeah, the difference between HD and before that, like Ruthless Aggression, Attitude Era, is night and day difference.
Crazy. You basically see the same wrestlers in same definition, just younger. I know some people hate it, but I think the gold in the center is a nice touch. It's one of these things where I don't know whether I agree or disagree with. At the end of the day, it looks kind of like the same, but I like the previous championship because the red color really stood out. I like the new WWE championship, but something's missing. Maybe the color ain't right. I don't know. From injury news update Orton to Legend Killer has to be in the conversation. I've seen so many discussion which is the best version of Randy Orton, and to me is is pretty much this one, from like 2003 to 2007 or 8. And again, probably just nostalgia. Randy ditching the
Yeah, I don't think that Legend Killer Orton is necessarily the best one objectively. I think 2008 through like 2009, you know, like when he was bald, menace, he was facing Triple H going into WrestleMania. The match wasn't good, but the rivalry, that was when Orton was at his peak. I would say Legend Killer is a very close second, though, but definite upgrade from the, you know, injury update Orton.
Zone to obviously the RKO. It did wonders for his
that
career.
Goes without being said.
You know, that's what made him a total package. Great wrestler, looks great, great music, and a great finisher. Why are you still playing me this garbage? I'm gonna get big time heat for this, but the Attitude Era title is easily much better than Winged Eagle. Y'all know my opinion on this.
I disagree.
I 100% agree. I always preferred the Attitude Era Championship because it's bigger and the blue color really stands out. Again, Winged Eagle is beautiful, I just prefer this one.
I could understand the color standing out part that he's saying, it being blue, but I think the Winged Eagle is better. I think I'm going to have to disagree with that one. Do you guys agree? Comment below. Let me know if you think the Winged Eagle or the Attitude Era belt is better.
One of the worst titles to one of the best. One of the biggest things I appreciate about Triple H's WWE.
Arguably
I was about to say
biggest
he really
upgrade.
respects tradition, and in some ways he goes back to the way it should have been, but then he does shit like this, right? Easiest answer ever. I think you did it wrong, though. The only time he still dresses up as Stardust is probably in his bedroom, doing some nasty shit, you know. I don't think he shouldn't do that. Ambrose to Jon Moxley. Ooh, a bit of a hot take. I don't know. Whatever is happening with Jon Moxley right now ain't the best. From Ray Sun to the greatest wrestler to ever exist.
Oh, of course. We've been talking about this before. Dominic's upgrade from Rey Mysterio's son to what he is now, Dirty Dom, with Rhea Ripley, eating chicken nuggies, getting the biggest heel heat on the main roster. Arguably the biggest upgrade on this list. He honestly saved his career with that heel turn. That changed everything.
A very, very strong statement right here. Y'all remember watching Dominic and being like, he's a baby. This guy is a baby with his generic ass look, generic ass attire, no microphone skills. All of a sudden, this guy be fucking. He raised up so many women in the WWE and he's not done. He's not even close. No, in all seriousness, Dominic is one of a kind. I really love his work. Believe it or not, like, he is one of the biggest draws in professional wrestling.
Yes,
Red Bear changing his finisher from Wasteland to a Bullhammer. I think I'm gonna have to agree with this one. Wasteland was like a shittier version of Attitude Adjustment, and people didn't like Attitude Adjustment in the first place. Head of the Table will always be one of my favorite WWE themes. So we're talking about going from the Shield music to the Tribal Chief music, Head of the Table. I agree, but I think the previous version of the song was better than the one we have right now.
Yes,
I can appreciate the current one in special moments, but it's a bit much, isn't it? It's just a bit much. This has to be...
I think that when it comes to Roman Reigns, the version that he had when he was Universal Champion, you know, before WrestleMania 40, I think that is his best theme song ever. I think it's better than the Shield one too. And it's so weird when you look back at it, there was one point he didn't have his current head of the, or not current, but the head of the table theme until after WrestleMania like 30, what would that be, like 37 or something, where in 2021. So from 2020 with his Universal Champion reign until that WrestleMania where he had the triple threat with Edge and Daniel Bryan, he was still coming out to the Shield song. So it's crazy looking back at that, and that fit his character, his aura so much. The head of the table, the tribal chief. I miss that theme.
Be the biggest glow up for a wrestler in years. That's what I'm talking about, man. Sometimes getting released by the WWE is the best thing that could happen in your career. Obviously, you might not make that much money, which I don't know what's the case for Dolph Ziggler, but I think all of us can somewhat relate to this situation. Sometimes you gotta choose whether you still want to be creative and do something interesting in professional wrestling or just get that big fat paycheck. That's why so many wrestlers just leave or get released in this case. You know, from jobber tag team wrestler to WrestleMania main eventer Jay Uso. Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. I remember the times when they weren't even in WWE video games. I remember the first time they were in a WWE video game, I believe was WWE 30. I could be wrong, but I remember people being like, why are they not in the video games? Because they didn't really matter that much on television. Cody's gear. Okay, a bit of a hot take. I don't know what it is about professional wrestling, but unless you're really tall or jacked, pants work better. I don't know what it is about it. Pants work better.
Well, you don't know why, but it's because the legs aren't as toned, so it looks all floppy, you know? But Cody Rhodes, I agree. But I will say overall, besides like just the pants, maybe a hot take, but one of my favorite look for Cody Rhodes is when he was undashing. When he came out with the vest, he had the mask over his face. I think that was a pretty cool attire. But the tights versus the pants, I agree 100%.
Okay, now I see what you did right here. It's definitely a big upgrade.
Oh, I
a
wonder
very
what
big,
he's talking about.
Big upgrade. 2 upgrades.
Big upgrade.
2 upgrades, I would say. You know, going from white to blue could definitely help. And the hat was definitely a nice touch.
Yeah,
Edge in the second one was better in ring. In some ways, I gotta agree, even his spear improved. I really appreciated his work, and I think it all comes down to him actually working a lot more, training a lot more, appreciating every single match he still has. I can only imagine at points you just kind of take it for granted. And of course, the most obvious one. We already talked about that. Absolutely. From one of the most rejected WWE superstars of all time to the one we keep begging for to show.
It's insane. This is only a, 5-year difference? He went from that one TLC or Royal Rumble, whatever, where he's like, I'm gonna have a big, you know what I'm talking about, where he really botched that promo. And then the Royal Rumble fiasco with The Rock holding him up and he couldn't even get him cheered. Going from that to the head of the table 5 years later is insane.
Go up. Crazy how wrestling works, and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, like, subscribe if you already didn't.
Okay, yeah, that was another great video from the Great One. I will put the link to the original video in the description, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and click below. And don't forget to like, comment below what you think the biggest upgrade on this list was, and subscribe. Come join the greatest city in the world, Wrestling City. And that's about it. I will see y'all next time. Peace.